Good afternoon, Radhika. Welcome to this session on She Speaks. We're very excited to have you. Radhika, let's start off with a very simple question, right? What are the challenges that you faced as an entrepreneur in your earlier career?
I think the first challenge, Ajay, was just to think whether I can be an entrepreneur. So that's the first barrier you need to break. Typically, the backgrounds we come from and the kind of professions we do, especially with audit and insurance, we've been more just executing. We don't get out there in front of the client and sell and focus on the value add. And that has changed over the last 10 years. And I think that is what became a big opportunity for me when I became an entrepreneur. Because I walked into this field, which, was music and team building and had to do with percussions. And I had never done any of that before. So I'm not a musician. I don't understand the M of music. I could perhaps clap my hands to a song, but that's about it. How do I then stand in front of a CEO and say, I can help you do this for your team, right? How can I tell them that I can add value without being there in front of them all the time? So there were other challenges, and it was I would say it was an arena which I had not tested myself. I knew I liked being in front of people. I knew I liked talking. I knew that I would get comfortable with people easily. So I knew I had some strength needed in that area, but that was my biggest challenge. And then the other one, of course, is you walk in there and you say, I will help you create a 3,000-piece orchestra, but I am an auditor. And then the eyebrows just go up. It took a couple of attempts. You learn and you turn those into opportunities. And you learn so much. I feel like now developing business is my key forte.
Radhika, let's talk about your break into entrepreneurship and then you wanting to come back into the corporate world, right? It must have been restrictive for a dynamic person like you to say, hey, you know what, now I need to hang up my business development boots and I need to just, focus on what's there in an audit practice. What was your thinking like and how did you get to this role?
So I took very long to join GDS. I think the first time I interacted with someone in EY, it was perhaps 11 or 12 months before I actually joined. And one of the reasons was for me to see, can I find that balance of academics as well as entrepreneurship? And I think the opening that I got here with Stat Audit Excellence, I think it's a startup within GDS. I still see it as a startup within GDS. The role was really take this small team, grow it, move from serving one small country to across the globe. No one out there onshore doing it. Think yourself, what do you want to do? How do you want to create it? How do you want to build? How do you want to sell? I think that I saw entrepreneurship in the first opportunity I got. So I have to say that I have a lot to thank the EY and the GDS leadership for what they gave me and how they managed to see the skill set coming together for this particular role. So I think it worked really well for me at that point. I have to say that moving back into corporate was much easier than moving into entrepreneurship. So it almost came back it's almost like muscle memory. You just went back to what you were doing. I took to it like a duck takes to water. I did though continue to say that and feel that I don't want to get totally pulled and sucked into just the technical aspect, and I kept my eyes open for that. So I looked for roles and I did roles that did a good balance of both.
Radhika, you touched upon gender and that stuck with me because it has for long been a point of contention.
Yeah.
And it continues to be very relevant even now. In the pandemic, we saw a lot of women leave the workforce and resort to housekeeping duties, right? What is your take on the support that workplaces provide to women either to get back up on their feet or to kickstart their careers again?
I think a lot of responsible corporates are doing specific programs to get women back. Women who want to get back know the availability of that. Before I came to EY, I did a 6-month project with, it was called G Career Interns. So basically they got back people who had left the workforce, senior women, only for 6 months for a specific project. What that did for me is it proved to me that I can be out for the entire day and nothing is crumbling behind me. I think one of the key aspects why we struggle to get back is because you think, oh my God, how is everything going to go on behind me? And once you get in, you realize there are easier ways. So I think corporates are doing a lot. GDS is doing so much. For the last 10, 15 years, you've seen the need to have a specific focused attention and specific programs to help women come back to work, to help women stay at work, to help women grow at work, to help women reach leadership positions. But honestly, Ajay, my dream is to wait for a time when none of that is needed, when there is real equality.
Let's switch gears. Let me ask you, if you were to give a piece of advice to your children around gender diversity and gender equality, what would that be?
That is a very interesting question, Ajay. And to me, it means a lot because I have 2 sons, one 15 and one 12. So, teenager, just about there. They're both diametrically opposite. One does everything that you and me at our age would feel men do or boys do. So he does football, he does swimming, he does tennis, he would rope climb, mountain climb, all of that. The other does everything that you think are more, that at least we at our age may think that they are more feminine sort of attributes. He likes playing the piano, he likes to be in the kitchen, he likes photography, he likes doing art. And the reason I bring this up is that this thought about gender equality or inequality, I feel, comes with age. Children don't have it. My older son swims in the same lane as girls his age. They don't swim in separate lanes. They are pushed to do better by trying to catch up with the boys who are physically stronger. We have to give them that, right? But he swims in the same lane and he walks back home and says, Mama, today the day was really good because I struggled to keep up with her. They don't think about these things. And so, Ajay, I don't know if I can just respond to that question to say, I would just not talk about gender equality to them. They are in that perfect spot, at least at this point in their life. Perfect spot.
Which I think is saying something, because what we are trying to say is that the Gen Z and the generations that come after them will ideally have it ingrained in their head that there does not need to be a difference between how you treat a man versus a woman.
Absolutely.
So Radhika, that's very good at an individual and at a family level, right? But when you look at corporates, at times there are contentions around whether we should have equality of opportunities for both genders or equality of outcomes. And I'll explain what I mean. Equality of opportunity could be giving both your team members, be it a man or a woman, the same opportunities to work on a challenging project. But an equality of an outcome would mean saying, hey, if I have more men getting promoted, I have to promote a certain number of women this year, right? So this happens to be a very contentious issue which is being discussed in corporate circles. Would you have any take on whether firms like EY should focus more on equality of opportunities or on equality of outcomes, or focus on both?
I think in an ideal world, in an ideal situation, there should be equality of opportunity. But we're not at that ideal situation. So we need to find a hybrid of the two. When we recruit, for example, we should recruit at a proportion that takes the equal outcome sort of aspect for every 50-50 or 60-40, whatever it is you think that works. But when you think of a project that you want to give to a manager, it needs to be an email or a discussion that needs to happen with everyone together.
Okay, Radhika, those were some very thought-provoking ideas that you put forth right now. It gives us a lot of food for thought about not just gender, but about leadership qualities. So thank you for all your time and thank you for being here. We're sure that our audience will have a lot of takeaways from this session. Thank you, Radhika.
Thank you so much, Ajay. Always a pleasure to talk to you.